morning and welcome to the Tonight Show with the Tigresses. Today I am joined by a fantastic guest. It's Grace Field, England international, Cast Tigers women first team player, and I'm sure we're going to have a great conversation talking all things rugby league. First of all, Grace, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you for having me on.
Of course, anytime. Obviously, I hope the internet is the connection will work. We'll see how things go. But before we get on to talking about Rugby League, first I want to start by saying a massive thank you to all the sponsors, including the shirt sponsors for Cast Tigers Women. We're going to begin with Hillside Childcare. Also, a massive thank you to the GMB Union, Track Spider Solutions, Yorkshire Flight Simulator, Castle Commercial Cleaning Services, Pizza Prima, B&J Goldings, SB Paving, D&M Family Butchers, Mara Falcons, the Cast Tigers Foundation, and of course, Anthony Higgins Transport. Also, a massive thank you to Grace, your very own individual sponsors, Greywood Hall. They've been with us, I think, since the very beginning, so it's fantastic to have their support. Right, Grace, let's get into the conversation. Tell me a little bit about training, first of all. No season in 2020. You've had to train from home. How has that been?
It's been different. We've been given stuff to do to keep us occupied throughout lockdown, especially over the first lockdown. Maz and Cal, they both set out like a session for us to do, which we had to complete with we had to evidence these sessions that we were doing, which made for some interesting viewing. We were set little competitions and stuff amongst ourselves, such as like who could be the kicking queen, and I think Sammy claimed that crown, which kind of proves that sometimes props can kick, I don't see why they won't let us loose with it on a game day. And then obviously we went back for a bit once lockdown was lifted, and it was just really nice to see everyone again. And I think it's more than just keeping your fitness in it when you're training with a group of people. It's good for mental health, and just being around the girls and seeing them all, it's sort of like it was a bit of a light at the end of the tunnel. Even if we weren't going to have any kind of season, it was just nice to be in and around each other again.
So, we'll talk about the 2020 year, the 2019 season, obviously a very successful one for Cass, and we'll look ahead to 2021. But just before that, I'd like to speak about something that's been in the news lately, of course, the Super League looking for its 12th team, and they decided to go for Lee Centurions. I know you yourself were backing York City Knights. Tell us what you think of the decision. I'm guessing you're a bit disappointed.
I think it's just I think for York to not get in, it was sort of like it was a tough call. They're a good team. They're in a great place to expand into, just outside of what they class as the Heartlands area on the M62. So they're just off that, and North Yorkshire is the biggest region or biggest county in the UK. So
biggest county, yeah.
To expand into a place like North Yorkshire, I think would have done the Super League. I think it'd have been really good for Super League. However, as they've said, it's put them in the shop window now, and they should contend, hopefully, over the next year or so, next few years, to push for Super League the hard way. But they've got a nice new stadium which is hosting women's Group B games in the World Cup and the semi-finals, and also I've looked around the facilities, and they are honestly some of the best that I've come across.
I actually went to a couple of the York City games. I think a couple of years ago they played Toronto Wolfpack when they played Bradford Bulls as well. There were thousands of fans there, so there clearly is a hunger for rugby league. And I'm a little bit like you. I'm a little bit disappointed that York didn't get it. It would have been nice to see them. But you did do some work with York City Knights yourself, didn't you?
Yeah, so up until pre-global pandemic, I worked as part of their foundation, helping with delivery into schools in York and around the community. And it was really fun. Got to see a lot of places in and around York and North Yorkshire that I probably wouldn't have gone to during my time at university. And they're just a great little club. They've got such a sort of like solid group of people behind the scenes that all really do care about the club, and it's just really nice to see.
And if I remember correctly, did you work a little bit with the LDRL side at York?
Yeah, so I worked alongside the foundation to help provide LDRL, which is Learning Disability Rugby League, to the community of York. We had quite a good turnout actually, and there's a lot of characters in there, and for me it helped me my coaching, but it also sort of like helped me to see how sport can be used to address wider social issues and sort of like push for more inclusivity in sport. And the fact that Super League have sort of like lent their name to that league, I think gives it such a fresh approach to how sport can be used to make things inclusive. And some of my highlights of coaching have come from within that group.
You know what? I love rugby league, that the fact that they do things like that, the LDRL, the PDRL, the Physical Disability Rugby League. I don't think there are many other sports that really do this sort of thing.
No, I think rugby league is definitely paving the way forward for inclusive sport. Obviously, you've got the PDRL, wheelchair, women's, men's, LDRL. You've got 4 of those competitions taking place at the same time next year as part of the World Cup. And the fact that 3 of those competitions will be paid equally, men's, women's and wheelchair, I think that is a brilliant step forward in promoting the game as one big game and an inclusive game.
And it just gives everybody a chance to participate, doesn't it? I remember speaking to some of the guys who play for PDR, and they're so happy, to be part of this Castleford Tigers club now that they have their own team, and LDRL as well. It's superb the work they do, and credit to you for stepping up there and helping out as well.
Yeah, I think York and Castleford are one of the many teams that do offer men's, women's, LDRL and offer another branch of inclusive sport. So York only offer learning disability with the intention to snowball out into PDRL, and Castleford, I believe, offer both LDRL and PDRL, which I think it's great to see that clubs are buying into this idea of inclusive sport and wanting to take rugby league to the masses.
No, I love it as well. I absolutely love what is going on here in rugby league. As I said before, not a lot of sports are doing this, and it's nice to see rugby league, leading away in an area of sport. Right, Grace, I wanted to talk to you about your rugby league career. When did you start playing rugby league? When did you get into sport? And tell us your pathway. How did you get through all the way to, grand finals, Challenge Cup finals?
I started playing with my local boys team. I was down at Alton Raiders, part of Rocky's Mini Raiders, as many good rugby league stories start at Rocky's Mini Raiders. And eventually they were like, "Oh, do you want to go and play in a proper team?" Gave that a crack, got to 11 and decided I was just a bit old to play with the boys now. So I decided to try my hand at football, and I think anyone that's watched me play football can tell you that I'm not naturally gifted with my feet. So then my dad gave me the choice: do you want to go back to rugby? And he found me a couple of local clubs, so I ended up at Castleford Panthers, and I've made some of my best friends for life from that girls' team. So I started playing there at the age of 12. I think every year we played in the national finals. We for a girls' junior team, we were probably top standard, and went all the way through, and then played, I think it was one season open age with Cas Panthers ladies, and then decided that I wanted to test myself. I was going to university in a couple of years. I just wanted to test myself, see if I could compete with the best in the business, and I decided to take myself down to Featherstone Rovers, and unbeknownst to me, my Brogan Cherm, who we were very good friends at the time. Sorry, we still are very good friends. She also decided to take that step to Featherstone as well, so it was quite nice. And then Jasmine Rowley followed suit, and yeah, I've got to say, so I ended up at Featherstone, ran my course over there. I think it was 4 years, and then decided that I wanted to test myself again. I knew Lindsay from playing at England Students, So I just dropped a message and asked if I could come down, and the rest, as you know, is history. Still here. Must be doing something right.
Absolutely. Before we talk about Castleford a little bit, can you tell me about Featherstone, what it was like to play? I mean, with the likes of Emma Slow was there. Obviously, you reunited at Cass again, but Andrea Dobson was playing there. You know, two England legends. There was a massive, massive team, Featherstone.
So yes, when I started, I think they just suffered a season where they were turning up and they were a bit short on numbers. So I think that partly played into my decision to go there, because I thought, oh, if I'm going to crack the team at that point, it'd probably be best to go when there might not be as many people there, especially with at the time they had such big names playing for them. And obviously their coach was Brenda Dobeck, who is an absolute legend of the women's game. So I went down and I got to play alongside some of the best players I've ever played with, such as Sloey and Andy, Kate Coops. She was also fantastic. Got to play like Nat Gilmore. How often do you get to say that you've pulled on a shirt with someone that's so highly decorated in international rugby, especially at the age of 16? It's quite overwhelming, but I think it helped definitely shape my career so far.
Do you think they've had a massive influence on your career, on your rugby league?
Yeah, I think everyone that I've played with at Featherstone has had an impact in how I play, whether it's a case of being told to get out of the way because I just was wandering around, or whether it's a case of someone taking the time to go through stuff with me. I'd say, I think a lot of the way those girls have played at the time has helped sort of like shape how I play now. So I know it might sound a bit, but like I'm a bit more of an aggressive player than a lot. And I think that's come from my Featherstone days, because back then you had to be able to hold your own, especially in a team where you've got girls that are so like well known and well renowned for their physicality and their aggressiveness. I think that sort of like made me step up at that time, and I think it's done me all right being there. And days I look back on fondly.
And if I remember right, you played in one of the grand finals. I think it was against Bradford.
Yes, so in my last year at Featherstone, it was the inaugural Women's Super League and Challenge Cup. So we played in both the Challenge Cup and the Super League grand finals. And I think it was well known that at that time we were kind of scraping teams together. We were struggling with players, and to get to the finals, we had to really dig deep as a team. I know that the results didn't quite come off, but I think one of my favourite rugby league moments is we went to Thatto Heath, and I think we had 13, 14 players, and full time we were drawing, and obviously you go straight to Golden Point. And we'd been playing I think we were all just sort of like absolutely dead on his feet. Everyone was just like, we were just slogging it out. And Andy slotted a drop goal from about 20 metres out. And honestly, I've never been as happy to see that ball go through the sticks. Like there's a picture actually of as she's done it, and like it's one of my favourite memories. Just the absolute just to get us to a final, because it had been we've been playing for so long, it was ridiculous. But like I say, fond memories of my time at Featherstone.
That's a great story, to be fair. That's a brilliant rugby league story. Obviously, then moving on to Castleford. I mean, tell us about when you first arrived. What are your thoughts on the team and on the progress that we made? I think you joined in 2018, if I remember correctly, or maybe even before that. And now, a couple of years later, you ended up playing in a grand final on Sky Sports. I don't think you expected that when you joined.
No, I joined Castleford because it was a new challenge, and they had quite a young squad, and it was I just wanted to test myself again, see where I could push myself to be. Lindsay sold everything to me very well, and at the start we were a young team, we were very enthusiastic, so I think that made up for the fact that a lot of us didn't have much experience. So the fact that we were enthusiastic, that helped us. I think we made the Challenge Cup final in my first season there, and then made the semi-finals of the Super League, which I think was it's difficult to get a group. I think we had an average age of about 20, 21 at that time, and to get a group of girls to be able to perform whose average age is 21 and get them to a final and a semi-final, I think it was unexpected, but it were good. And we had such a good year on and off the pitch, and then that led into 2019, which I think we had Challenge Cup and Super League grand final. Unfortunately, we lost them both again, but I think the fact that we're quite a solid, close-knit team, there's not many in or out. I think we hope that we're going to just grow together, and this journey is going to be one that the whole team goes on. And I think I think we've only ever recruited strongly, and because I wouldn't consider any weaknesses in the team, and I think we can only get better.
I remember when the Castleford women's team was formed, I remember Lindsay, one of the things saying she wanted to do was to make the women's game more professional. Do you think from your experience that has been achieved so far?
Yeah, I think the work that Lindsay's doing, not only for Castleford as a club, but for Women's Rugby League in general, I think she's doing an outstanding job. She's constantly pushing for better things. So whether that's she's pushing us to be more professional at training, making sure everyone's on time, everyone's wearing CAS kit, making sure that we have access to gyms, that we're all bringing the correct equipment. And then she's also pushing for us to play in the stadium, to get sponsorship so that we can fund what we're doing. But she's also, because she's pushing us as a club to do that, other teams then also need to push in a similar fashion, and then it keeps that competitiveness at the top, in the league. So as we're getting better, everyone else is getting better. As we're getting more professional, everyone else is getting more professional. And I think in order to make everything Women's Rugby League the top standard, the gold standard of women's rugby, we've got to keep pushing each other. We've got to keep pushing not only us as a club, but we've got to keep pushing other clubs to be better as well.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more with what you said there. Right, Grace, it's time to find out what is your best 13. I've asked you before the show to compile a bit of a list of your top 13 players you've either played with or against. I have it in front of me here, and I'll tell you what, it's a hell of a team. So let's go through it now. At number 1, Tara Stanley. Now, what can you say about Tara? Why have you picked Tara Stanley on this side?
Well, I much prefer playing with Tara than against her. She is an absolute nightmare to play against. So she can just hold, if she's got a hell of a fend. So we'll be doing training, and all of a sudden I'll be at the end of Tara's eyes. I just can't get near her. But not only is she just a big physical presence, she's got great vision. There's a reason that she is a world-renowned player. Her ability to command you from the back, she just knows what she's doing. It comes so naturally. And I do get a bit of a panic on when I know that I'm playing and Tara's not my fullback, because I'm just so comfortable and used to having her there, and she's just so good at her job. She is a brilliant player, and she's one of those people that she can break the game. So if things aren't going your way, she has the ability to turn that game on its head and produce something amazing, which I think every team needs players like that.
Moving on the wing, we've got Kelsey Gentles.
Yeah, Kelsey. She does scare me a little bit, the way she heads into tackles. She just goes head first, she's ducking and diving, and all of a sudden she's popped up at the other side of the defence. You think, oh God, I've got to go chase her now. But I think her go forward, she is probably one of the best around. The way she approaches her game is very much, she's just fearless. And I really like that about her. I think she's very honest and open about her game, and she'll cut a ball in for you when you're absolutely dead on your feet. she'll just pop up and take you forward and do like she's another person that can change a game for you by doing something that you like. She'll score for you or something like that.
At number 3, you've gone for Amy Hardcastle.
Yeah, Amy is absolutely lovely. I've never played with her at a club level, but we've played together at Yorkshire, and she's someone that she's such a big personality, but she has such an authority on the pitch as well. She's like someone that can hold a team together, and she's a nightmare to play against as well because she's just so strong. She is honestly like you could stick her in front row and she'd probably hold her own. Like she's just an outstanding player, and she's so knowledgeable about the game and how to behave in a team environment, and she's definitely someone to look up to, especially when you're going into these big squad environments. She's got such a professional attitude as well, and yeah, she's just all-round great player.
You know, and I remember she scored an absolutely sensational try. I think it was at the 2017 World Cup. I think against PNG. Any fans watching, go on YouTube and take a look at that, because that is worth watching. Number 4, it's I think your former Featherstone teammate, Natalie Gilmore.
Yeah, so coming through at Featherstone, we had Nat Gilmore. She played in centres, but she also played in fullback for us as well. And she's another person. She brought such professionalism to the team, and her attitude towards rugby was like just outstanding again. Like she, when I was at the age of 16, she honestly terrified me. But she's actually a really nice lady. But yeah, like she's just obviously a legend of the game, and to be able to play alongside her, even though maybe a year or two, it was an honour.
Moving on now, number 5, you've put there Leah Burke.
Yeah, honestly, I trained with Leah as part of my TASS scholarship up at Leeds Beckett, and she's one of the most, like, you wouldn't think she was a rugby player based on like her mannerisms and that, but on the pitch she's just a natural finisher. She just seems to know where the try line is, and all of a sudden, like, yeah, she used to do gymnastics and that, so I think like that helps her with her athletic ability. But yeah, she's one of the nicest girls around, and yeah, she just, like I say, natural finisher. She just seems to know where that try line is, similar to Kelsey, in that she just got that really strong go forward and just, yeah, knows where the try line is.
At number 6, it's Castleford's own Georgia Roach.
Yeah, I remember playing with Roachy for the first time. She didn't say anything. She still doesn't say much now, but like she said even less back then, which but now that she's sort of like growing in herself and more confident, she's becoming a really top class halfback. And yeah, I think she scored an outstanding try for us in the grand final when we both played at Featherstone together. I think she just danced away through the defence, and I think at that point, I think we all knew that there was something special on his hands. But yeah, her ability to just read a game, and sort of like, she's a phenomenal kicker as well. Like, I think she kicked as a 40-20 against York, and in the women's game, for a women's player to be able to kick a 40-20, that's some achievement, because it just doesn't happen very often. But yeah, she's just someone that can read a game. She knows exactly where to be at the right time, and yeah, she's a great player.
No, as you say, Georgia is an outstanding player. You mentioned that try for Featherstone in the grand final. I think the RFL still use it to promote the women's game. That's how good it was, and that was years ago. So that just tells you how good that try was. Number 7, it's Katie Cooper Birkenhead.
Yeah, absolutely. Used to love playing outside Katie Coops. She's just, I don't think I've ever come across someone who's just naturally gifted as she was. Like, her rugby brain was just as good as any man's. Like, she just made it so easy to play next to her, and I think I must have taken about 10 years off of her life, because she had to teach me how to run a line properly when I first started at Featherstone, and I just one day just clicked, and yeah, she's the only person that I've ever seen who can absolutely nail a conversion off, you know, those plastic like dome cones that you use as a marker at training.
Yeah.
She wouldn't use like a proper kicking tee. She'd use one of those plastic cones, and she'd nail like touchline conversions weekly from top of. She's the only person that I've ever seen manage to do that, and I still don't know how.
Number 8, you've gone for England legend Andrea Dobson.
Yeah, Andy. I think I'd have been silly to leave her out. She's an absolute like legend of the game. I still look up to her now. And yeah, she also taught me a hell of a lot about my own game. She's still a great player, and I think it's a shame that I never got to play alongside her at international level. But yeah, she was just fierce. Never took a backward step. Still doesn't. And yeah, if I can have a career even half as good as hers, then I would be satisfied.
Number 9, you've gone for Leeds Rhinos' Lois Forsell.
Yeah, I've only played with Lois a handful of times, but you can tell why she was so highly sought after in the women's game. Her ability to lead a team around the park was like, it was just amazing. She sort of like distributed the ball really nicely. I don't think you ever got a bad ball from her. And she's another person that can pull off like something special that you need to win a game. And I think she's done that a couple of times against us when she played for Leeds. Just sort of like hopping over the try line, a couple of important scores against us. And defensively, she was an absolute warrior as well. Like never took a backward step. Always solid in defence. Yeah, just an all-round great player.
And at number 10, you've gone for one of my all-time favourite rugby league players. Forget women's rugby league players or men's rugby league players. Simply one of my favourite rugby league players, Emma Slowe, an absolute legend of the game.
Yeah, another person that I think I'd be daft to miss out. Slowey, absolute, like, as you say, a legend of the game. I'd say, like you, I'd say she's probably one of the best forwards I've ever watched in both male and female game. She's really difficult to tackle. Like, I don't know what it is about her, but she just seems to know how to make your life difficult. And she's got this horrible step that she does it right at the line, and you think you've got her, and then all of a sudden she's got off your shoulder, and she's a nightmare to play against. But she's someone that I would always be happy to line up at the side of her, because, like I said, fierce competitor, and she just never takes a backward step, constantly there. Her offload game as well, she's got, like, she can just get an arm free and she can whip ball around. Like, if I tried it, ball would go sort of like flying out, but she's got like her grips like really good. Yeah.
I have to tell you that her offload game is simply on another level. On another level, it's amazing. Number 11, you've gone for Sarah Roper.
Yeah, so Sarah Roper, she was another player from when I played at Featherstone. She, I don't really know what to say about her. She was just a great player. She was really solid in defence. Always, she was so aggressive and go forward as well. Like, she could take a hit up and be hit and like hit full speed. She was so difficult to stop. I also remember, I think first training session she turned up at, like, she just threw me around like a rag doll. And but yeah, she's a great player. She was someone that, like, she could just break it down the middle of the park. Like, she was relentless and just a great person to have on your team.
Next up, you've gone for the England captain, Emily Rudge, at number 12.
Yeah, Rudgy, just an outstanding player. She's another person that I think has helped with the professionalism of women's rugby and how it's perceived. Yeah, she's just got her sort of like, when you're around her, you just sort of like, you want to improve yourself, you want to be better, because she's like one of those people that, like, she's really good in the gym, she's really good on the pitch, she's really good off the pitch. Like, there's a reason that she is the England captain at the moment. She's just an outstanding, not only rugby player, but an outstanding person. She's really approachable. and she scored 4 tries in. I think she was the first person to score 4 tries for England women in a Test match, which it just shows you how good of a player she is. She can hit an absolutely deadly line on that left-hand side, and she's definitely up there with the world's best.
And at loose forward, you've gone for the one and only Rhiannon Marshall.
Yeah, she's a great player. We've played alongside each other, but we've also played against each other. She's always someone, when she's running at you, you always just think, oh God, like she's not someone that you want to have running at you. And over the past few years, I think she's definitely improved her game. So she's not just like a big running forward or just a halfback. She's managed to merge those 2 roles and sort of like hit that classic like loose forward role. And I think, she's become more of a deadly player, and I think she'll only get better. But she's just such a dangerous player, and in defence as well, she's a big solid unit. Like, there's not many people who'll get through Rhiannon, which she's another player that she's just really great.
Well, thank you very much, Grace. That was your 1 to 13. I'll tell you what, that team is something special. Just a couple more questions, Grace, before we go on to some questions from fans that they've had from you, most of them on Instagram, a couple from your sister as well, but I think
she
those
was
out.
looking at me earlier quite suspiciously with a giggle.
We'll see whether we'll get to those. But first of all, England, you've made your debut now for England. You've played for England. You've been to PNG, and I'm sure you're going to be fighting for a place in the England spot. Tell me about your England journey.
So I've been in the national performance unit since 2018 when I joined Castleford, I believe, and I didn't get to play in that year, but then 2019 rolled around and I got the phone call from Craig saying that I was going to Papua New Guinea. I didn't go to the World Nines, but I think that the team that he took were the best team that could possibly have gone. So, but to go to Papua New Guinea, absolutely, it's just indescribable. Like, it was just such a, I don't know, like it was just such a good experience. That unforgettable. I don't think there'll be anything that will probably come close to being an experience like that.
Not even a possible World Cup?
I think that's a completely different beast, isn't it? Like, to go away for 3 weeks and take Rugby League to places like Goroka where there's never been an international women's match before, and to get a big crowd of 7,000 people in a place where obviously there is a lot of still gender-based violence towards women. And I think to be able to do that and break those barriers, it's just unparalleled, and it's completely different to what potentially playing in a World Cup would be.
And we spoke a little bit with Tamsin on the first episode of this program about PNG, and she mentioned it was a really eye-opening experience. Would you share that feeling?
Yeah, definitely eye-opening. I think you can't really say that. I could never say that I know what goes on over there, but to have experienced that culture and whatnot, I think it was really eye-opening, and they're just such lovely, happy people. And I think that is something that I've taken back and tried to work on, and that how they're so happy, and I've got no reason to not be as happy as them.
No, absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more on that. But now it's time to move on a little bit and go to the fan questions. Let's start with this one from Instagram. Any nicknames from teammates? That's an interesting one.
I think a year ago or so, Claire Garner gave me a strange one, which was Jukebox. But no, other than that, I don't really have any nicknames. I think just Grace. Yeah.
Just Grace. Yeah.
Yeah. But she said the Jukebox one was because the hits keep coming, and But it hasn't stuck, and I'm quite glad about that.
Clyde is superb when it comes to coming up with stuff like that. Question number 2, proudest moment. Any proudest moments for you?
Proudest moment. Ooh. I don't know, because all of them make me proud. Like, I think probably making my debut for England probably be up there, but also just making like the first Super League Grand Final, or making the first televised Super League Grand Final, playing in the Challenge Cup when it became the triple header. That was a proud moment. I think they're all my proudest moments, just for varying reasons. I couldn't pick one.
We've got an interesting one here. Any pre-match rituals?
Any pre-match rituals? No, I like to listen to my music. Pre-match, and I'll go and pester the physio for a bit. Go and sort of like get my legs rubbed out or something. But other than that, just your standard music, get into my headspace kind of thing.
There was one on Facebook from Tony Brisby. He asks, do you sing? I guess you sing Sweet Caroline at the end of the game, but whether it goes any more than that, you could tell us.
Unfortunately, like my namesake, I don't sing very well. I do sing, just like I said, not very well. But yeah, I get that all the time, because obviously Gracie Fields and that. I'm no songbird.
That's fine, as long as you keep bringing us those hits on the rugby pitch. That's fine. Number 4 from Instagram. This is actually from your sister. It's one of the better ones we've had. Who's your favorite sibling? Things like that. We're going to go for this last one, which is who's been the biggest influence on your career and why?
I'd have to say, from a personal point of view, I'd say my dad. He obviously introduced me to rugby by taking me to my first session, but he's carted me around the country to trials and to fixtures. He's always been my number one fan. He's supported me regardless what I've chose to do. He's always given me words of wisdom. It's like quite sage advice, and always sort of like kept me pushing forwards. He's absolute, like, I couldn't have asked for a better like person to sort of like support me in my rugby journey, and hopefully I can continue to make him proud until I decide that I want to hang my boots up. But from more of like a sort of like rugby playing, like idolising someone, I'd got to say Kevin Sinfield, just from a young age, going to watch Leeds Rhinos. I've always idolised him, especially if you look at what he's done recently with his 7 marathons in 7 days. I think that just shows you why so many people do idolise him. And he's just, I think he's an outstanding role model for anyone wanting to be part of the rugby league community.
I think you gave an absolutely brilliant answer there. As you said, I mean, wonderful to hear, your dad has been so supportive of your career, and also they're adding with the Kevin Sinfield story, which was absolutely unbelievable. The things that he's done for his friend Rob Burrow. I mean, the story on its own, it's absolutely heartbreaking as well, obviously with Rob. But Grace, thank you very much for joining me. That's all the questions we've had for you today. Wonderful to have you on the show. And I can't wait to see what you have to bring for Cass and for England in 2021. And I'll see you there.
See you later. Thank you for having me.